everything in my life is accessible in one place. We have hubs that keep us updated with friends, sports, news events, crafting, dating, and more. We have one place to become connected to the world. These hubs provide us with a user-friendly experience, information, and more. But mostly, hubs provide us with one place to go for any topic of interest. Yeah, except for charity. You see, I can see what the girl in my bio class had for lunch. I can see if the Buckeyes dominated. But if I want to know the world's needs, I have to search for that information. You see, I don't know what's going on in the country of Chad or Botswana, and I don't know what's going on. I have to search for it. And when I search for the information, guess what? It's overwhelming. Now, the feeling that most of us get seeing our phone in some water is, yes, panic, because I'm experiencing that right now. That is my phone. It's in water. I'm panicking. But yes, it's also disconnect. Now, the feeling of disconnect is something that I felt a long time ago when I was sitting in my 7th grade classroom, and we were watching a documentary on global poverty. And I was that girl crying in the back of the classroom. You all know that girl. I was that girl. And I was crying. Now, I was crying in part because of what we were watching, but also because when I looked around, some of my classmates were sleeping. Some of them were passing notes. One dude was throwing paper across the room. And I realized that we had a disconnect between charity and us. Now, the reasons for the disconnect were all different. But the overarching issue was that even if we had wanted to help, no one could have told us where to start. Now, if you're sitting in this room, you may realize it or not, but you have a disconnect with charity. Not everyone is out there solving the water crisis, so you may have asked yourself any number of questions. Why should I care? What charities should I trust? Because everyone's asking for your money, and if I give my money to a charity, where does it go? On top of that, can I serve hands-on? Where can you go to find out about the opportunities in your community? I don't know. You tell me. Now, on top of that, you've probably asked yourself, what is actually happening in the world? But most importantly, I hope you've asked yourself the question, where do I start? And that's why sitting at my desk as, yes, a 7th grader, I wanted to make a tool that could connect anyone to charity, one place to become connected to the world's needs and those who help to alleviate them. Now, besides the crying incident, I also remember having a dream, as strange as it sounds, of an orange globe. And I would keep a sketch pad beside my bed, so I'd wake up and I would sketch. And soon enough, every paper, every napkin, every homework assignment, became a sketch pad. Now, making the place to start concerning charity seemed impossible at the time, because at the start of its creation, you have no place to begin. And as a 13-year-old, and we still had dial-up at the time, no one wanted to hear about a charity website while you're sitting at your middle school lunch table and we're daring each other to eat horrible combinations of food. It wasn't going to happen. Now, on top of that, I could cruise around on a four-wheeler looking great, like there. I know I look great. I could stand up to a bully, but I could not have the courage to tell people of my idea for fear that it was dumb. So I tucked my ideas away. Now, high school rolls around, and yes, that is me. Please notice I'm holding 2 calculators. Yeah, 2. And the charity website idea still bothered me. But you know what? I had no idea how to start a nonprofit. I didn't even know where to begin, much less run one. And I couldn't write a check because I didn't have a bank account. And I couldn't turn on my TV at home because I was technology impaired, and talking in front of adults made me sweat, which I am currently sweating, and I was called a goody two-shoes, and I didn't want to make the teasing worse. So I had every reason that I thought, every excuse to do nothing, so that's what I did. Nothing. Now college rolls around, the microcosm of society, and at 18, I was reawakened to that disconnect. Because in college, we relied on these social media hubs, or in these hubs, to keep us updated with the world. And the saddest part was that I did not know what was going on outside of my community unless there was a tsunami or a shooting big enough to make its way to my Twitter feed. What about the people who had real problems that weren't made popular? What about the people that needed parasitic medications? What about the girls as young as my sisters that were being forced into sex slavery? What about the people who were experiencing hunger because of drought or famine? Where did they go? Who was helping them? They hadn't disappeared. I was disconnected because concise information still remained inaccessible, and the place to start was still non-existent, and nearly 6 years had gone by. And all I had were sketches and excuses. So I went home and I dug out my 7th grade sketches. And I realized the connection to charity had to be active. You like active things, right? So it had to be active. And what better way than 3 simple steps? C, help tell. First, C, you had to see a problem, recognize it. It could be making scarves for cancer. It could be a dog park. It could be the water crisis. It didn't matter how big or small, you had to recognize that there was a problem. 2, you had to choose to help. You could do it by giving or by serving. Either way, the choice followed by the action was vital. And lastly, tell. You had to tell people what you had seen and how you had helped to create a bigger impact. You could tell your friends, community, estranged relatives, people you find on the street, it didn't matter. Impact starts with one person, but it happens with many. Now, sketching and implementing are 2 different things. I had seen and I was ready to help. But if I would sketch a pony, and yes, I did sketch that pony all by myself, pony. It doesn't just magically appear like that. It doesn't happen. I've tried. My dad won't get me one, okay? Now, a charity website that encompasses the entire world just doesn't magically appear. And though I had made the steps to implement, the impossibles came. And let me tell you a little bit what they were. First, my mother thought I was crazy. And when your mother thinks you're crazy, it's never a good start. 2, I had experienced an information overload. So if I was going to tell people about the world, I needed to know about the world. So I spent 3 days staring blankly at 67 megabytes of data from the World Bank. For those of you who don't know how big that is, that's 15,066,000 data points. So I did what any self-respecting older sister would do, and I gave 15,066,000 data points to my younger sister so she could hand-pick out the critical points. You need a database for that. Now, if I hadn't already had the overload once, I experienced it a second time. 2, there was too many charities. 1,876 charities with a 4-star rating on Charity Navigator, and I wanted my friend to pick out the top 3 in each world need. Yeah. On top of that, I thought the internet was a magical place filled with pixie dust, and I needed magical programmers to work it for me. So when 40-year-old magical programmers find out they're working for an 18-year-old, they quit. On top of that, I wanted to be fighting crime and saving babies, and I was stuck behind a computer, so I dreaded my work. Additionally, I experienced embarrassment for a launching party for 300 of my peers for a site that didn't launch. That was my lunch table times 50. Adults thought my idea was cute. It wasn't cute, it was the world, and they referred to it as my little website. I needed a lawyer, a coder, a designer, a team, advisors, volunteers. I needed money, I was going to school, and more. However, I was reminded by a dear friend that if I could make a difference in just one person's life, impacting one person through one connection, then I had made an impact worthy of overcoming all the impossibles. Hence the name One Life. The place to start to connect to the world via the magical internet and its needs. The place that you can go to find charities and find the reasons why you should trust them. And for the first time, you can find opportunities that you choose based off what you see around you and get involved. Charity is connected now at one place. And now we're getting bigger. But remember the couldn't? Remember I couldn't write a check, and I couldn't run a nonprofit, and I couldn't X, Y, and Z. I was dedicated to learn how. And I didn't take a class, and I didn't do things the right way. I asked, I learned, I experimented. I picked up my cell phone, I called people. I failed, I learned, and I resolved. Now I'm telling you that no matter what your skill set is not, you may not be technically minded. You may not be charismatic. You may not be financially minded either. But you can learn. Because the could nots and the impossibles don't give you or I an excuse to do nothing. Because not everyone, not one person can affect everyone, but everyone can impact someone. Do you see anything in your community that bugs you? Let it bug you. Be that girl, be that guy who's crying in the back of the classroom, who's talking to their friends, who's making something happen. Do you want to start changing something? I did. And now you have a hub. Still works. And a place to start. However, hubs mean nothing unless people use them. Connection is at your fingertips. You have the choice to connect. You have the choice to see, to help, and to tell. And I hope you do. For when you change one life, you change your own. Thank you.